Well, today I received my roll-around cart for my bamboo printer that I've ordered, which actually is supposed to arrive today. That'd be kind of nice, but I think it's starting to get a little late for the delivery. Never know. So I wanted to do an unboxing of this particular cart that I purchased. This is a stainless steel roll-around cart that would normally be used in a kitchen scenario, commercial kitchen or even a private kitchen scenario. It's large enough for the bamboo printer to sit on with a little bit of extra space. Sturdy, all stainless steel, or that's what they claim, so I'm assuming that's true. And yeah, so what we'll do is we'll unpack this and see what we have in the way of a product here. So let me just grab my knife and we'll move it a little bit closer to the camera. There we go. And we will cut this. And we'll lay this down. Just make sure I'm not going to cut anything while I undo this tape. Sorry if I'm in the way. I'm not looking at camera monitor to see if my fat head is in the way or not. But let's see what we've got here. So far, it's looking pretty good. Put that away. And look at this. So this is Vevor, and I purchased it off of Amazon. It did have pretty good ratings. Yeah, I've not bought their product before, so we'll see how this goes. And if the instructions actually match what we have, because several times I've purchased such things and the instructions will mention things like nuts and bolts and stuff that actually don't come with the product. So we'll see. I think this is pretty straightforward here. All right, so let me get the bits and pieces out and we'll have a look at what's going on with this. All right. Now that bamboo printer is relatively heavy. I can't remember exactly what the weight of it is, but I will assume, and why I'm saying I'm assuming is because I didn't actually check to see what the weight handling capabilities of this is, but being stainless and such like, I figure it could probably handle the weight of that printer without any problem. Now, one thing I do like is that the stainless is still covered with the plastic, which is really nice. I like that. Even the center brace piece is covered. Now, one of the things that does always bother me, and I'm seeing on this one, that I see a lot on monitor brackets or monitor carriers. For instance, this one you see up against the wall right there. The reason it's sitting over there and not having monitors on it is because the weld at the bottom broke. And it was actually mounted through my ham bench behind me, through the top of the bench, and just about had all those monitors come down on my ham gear, etc. So when I see spot welding on things like this, it starts to make me a little nervous. Instead of having maybe a full weld, or at least considerably more of a weld. But this is all just spot weld. There's one weld there. Looks like only one weld in the corners. Nothing down here, etc. So that's a little disappointing for the strength of this, based on what the strength of this should be. Okay, let's get rid of some more of this packing material. This is the shelf that goes down underneath. We'll put that over here like this. And here is our box of goodies. So what I'll do is I will remove this cardboard packing. And I will put that down underneath this bench. All right. So what does it say? It says, turn it upside down. Turn it upside down and install some legs. So let's grab that box of goodies. And we'll put this down here. Asleep. And open up this box of goodies here. Hardware, and see what we have. So one of the other things I also saw, which is what I wanted for my to protect my floor, even though this floor is bamboo. So man-made bamboo floor. So it's exceptionally strong, resistant to abrasion. Let me put it that way. Resistant to abrasion. And one of the things that I liked about this table is the wheels. So these are actual rubber wheels. They're not plastic wheels. And from how it feels like it's actually running on a bearing, an actual ball bearing. And of course we have our ball bearings in there. This is kind of the standard kind of ball bearing for these type of wheels. But rubber wheels, very nice. And just for giggles, I also have the same on my chairs. All my chairs have had the wheels swapped out, the plastic wheels swapped out, and rubber type wheels put in their place. Now, one of the things, if you do that, here's some caution. And because I've mentioned it, I'll take no responsibility for injuries. When you replace the plastic wheels with these rubber-based type wheels, your chair will roll considerably easier. And because of that, when you go to sit down, the chair could move away from you very, very easily. So that's one of those things you just have to be exceptionally cautious of. Otherwise, you could land on the floor and have a broken tailbone or other injuries. So if you put the rubber wheels on your chairs, please be very careful of that. So that's my caution for that. So one of the other things that was mentioned by a friend of mine, when I mentioned to her that I had purchased this table with wheels, was when the printer is printing, which it prints quite quickly. In other words, the head moves around quite quickly, causing a lot of vibration, etc. Are you going to have problems with the rigidity of the printer and it's shaking around on the table. Well, what I will probably do is I'll probably bracket it so that when I'm printing, it's bracketed to the side of my bench over here, or even possibly to my main workbench over here behind me. You can't see really either of those, but I can bracket it to those so that it's rigid. And the whole purpose of it being roll around is that I'm limited in space, so need to be able to roll it out of the way, roll the printer out of the way and not have it in the way all the time. And my bench space is limited. So that's interesting. Okay, let me see what they're asking. So they're saying, please take the top board mounting hole facing upwards, install the round pipe into the hole, fix it with an M6 socket. Some models distinguish the model upper and lower support pipes and the upper and lower. Now, one of the things they're not saying, so what we have here is we have one hole at the bottom and we have 3-threaded PEMs, if you want to call them that, pin nuts, inserted here. And I'm assuming that this is for the shelf, but they don't show that in the instructions. So they do not show that in the instructions. There's no holes showing on which way around this goes. Well, you know, there's a little logic involved here, of course. So we will have a look here and see what we have. Yeah, so basically they're saying use your intelligence and figure it out. So hopefully I'm smart enough to figure it out. All right, and those instructions actually are not for this particular model because I do not have an extension type model. So notice that this is showing a coupler and 2 leg heights. This only has 4 legs. So we're only dealing with 4 legs here. Now it may say in here, if you have this particular model without the extension legs, that you don't need to install them. So it's just covering 2 or 3 models. For instance, I don't have excuse me, I don't have these back and side supports, or anti-roll-off, or whatever you would like to call them. Not that I saw anyway. I will check the box again just in case, but I don't remember seeing it in picture. Be nice if it was there actually. But okay, let's have a look here, see what we can do. We're putting these guys in. Here we go. All right, let me get down here on the floor and put these together. Now, one of the things I kind of don't like already, no lock washers. So that kind of bothers me a little bit. If I find that these loosen up over time, in other words, basically after the first couple of prints that I do on the printer, which is going to be shaking this thing around pretty good, if I even get an inkling that these are loosening up, I will take these legs back off and put lock washers underneath these screws. Some of you may think, well, why don't you just use Loctite? Don't need to. Use Loctite when doing this. And if you get the wrong type of Loctite, you could end up having some problems. That one's a little tight. Let's see if I can, this is not going to be very good, because, oh, maybe it'll be okay. Yeah, there's a ball end. So this key is a ball end, which is nice. So I can just drive that in there without too much trouble. And we'll do this one. Just make sure that that's squared up so we don't cross thread that. And I think I'll just do that up nice and tight. I would suggest that you don't go crazy about tightening these up. I would only tighten them up to the point that you can turn it, stop turning it with the short end. Don't put the long end on there and tighten it, because I could just keep going and going. That would be a lot of torque, okay? And you don't need that much torque on these to tighten them up. So just be cautious of that, because you go too far, you'll start bending the metal, putting a lot of stress on stuff. So we'll just go up to that. Yeah, I'm not too happy. Those welds are 2 welds. There's 2 welds. That's it. 2 welds there, 2 welds here, 2 welds here. And they are small. So I'm a little concerned about that. I would have expected it to have a little bit more than just a tack weld in here. However, I'm not a welder per se. I haven't done gas welding in my life, but that's gas, not arc. Way back when I did my A&P, we did have to learn how to arc weld, TIG weld, and rod weld. But that was mid-90s, very long time ago. Haven't done it since. So there's a little bit of history for you. So that's that. Now let's see what it says. We will look at this. Basically, it says now put in. Yeah, install the partition, call it a partition, according to the height of the hole position you need. So the shelf, partition, shelf. Lost in translation, as they say. That's okay. I don't mind. Every country will interpret differently. And that works just fine with me. I certainly don't mind. All right. Let me get my knee up underneath this. Yep. And now one of the things I want to do is grab a couple of these. And another one set up so that when I put one in this corner, I'll put one in the opposite corner over here. And that way it will be stable. So I'm setting this up for the highest shelf height. Nope. Now this cutout isn't quite right. But I'm assuming they may have done that on purpose. Now, as long as that doesn't fall behind me. Come on. Come on. There it is. Trying to find that other threaded hem nut. Get several threads engaged so that it does not try and fall on me. Now I can let that go and concentrate on a few of these others. And it might be a little bit out of range of the camera here. Sorry about that. But the lens on my camera doesn't wide angle out very far. So when I'm doing something with these larger objects, it will kind of go out of frame. But I think you get the gist of it. All right, got one extra. If I have one extra, let's just make sure that I haven't forgotten one. Well, I'm good all the way around. Okay, now I just want to pull these first ones up a little tighter because they only went in with a few threads. And then I want to make sure that I didn't just catch only a couple and it rips out. So we should be good to go now. Okay, that's sliding right into that slot very nicely. There we go. That's slid into that slot very nicely. I don't know if you can see this or not. There's a gap there, so there is interference. The pipe going into the slot is interfering slightly, but when I do this up, tighten these down, they certainly come in very nicely. Look at that. And some of you might be wondering why I don't use a speed bit and a drill motor. I'm an old guy from the old school of trying not to strip threads out of things and breaking the heads off of screws and damaging stuff. And to top it off, darn good exercise for the muscles in your arm, muscles in your hand, etc. So you will actually very, very seldomly ever see me use a drill motor and a speed bit. Just letting you know. Okay. I will assume that that's where that goes, and that's what our paperwork says. It says put that in there. All right. Now, I didn't have a rubber mallet with me. That is out in the garage. So I might have to. Yeah, those are pretty tight. Those are pretty tight. Now the other thing I want to look at, oh, there's brakes. Remember it saying that on these. Bring this over. It's a brake. So that's kind of nice. Even though I will still bracket it to one of my benches when it's running. When the printer is running, at least I can use the brake to help with it a little bit. All right, so I'm going to have to go and get a rubber mallet so I can beat the crap out of this and put these in. All right, I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I'm back, and I have brought my mallet with me. It has a tendency to make things want to cooperate. So, that's nice and loud. That actually fits so nice and tight that it's peeling the plastic off. So that's something I don't mind. That tells me that they're going in there nice and tight. All right, so let's see what we can do with some wheels here. I guess it doesn't really matter which. So the only thing I find a little off with the wheels is that underneath they have the hex for tightening these up with a wrench. The problem is, I don't know if you can really see that or not, but the problem is that once you've screwed it down so it's up against or making contact with the holder here, you can't get at that hexagon with a wrench. So that's a little disturbing in respect to that. And there's no way I'd want to pound on the wheels. There's no way I'd want to pound on these wheels to put them in if I had screwed them in first. That would probably not be a good thing to do. Anyway, so there we go. I think that's all. Let me just double check this box again just to make sure. Yeah, it looks pretty well empty, so I don't start breaking things. Okay, let me see if I can turn this over. Oh yeah, that's that spare screw and washer there. All right, let's lift this up. And there we go. Very nice. Like I said, I'm not super happy with the welds on this, but I will assume that it'll be okay so far. If I find that things are going south as far as that goes, I do have a couple of friends of mine that could probably drop a little bit more welding on this if it starts to give me problems. So the next thing will be to remove all this plastic, and I will do that off camera. So we'll see how this works out, and when I get the printer and I unbox that, so I'll video the unboxing of the printer, and we'll get it set up on this roll around and see how it works. And the size, I did select the height of this based on, you know, how I'm going to be accessing the front of the printer, the bed of the printer, as it's going up and down, taking parts out, putting trays in and stuff. All right, there we go. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next review.